Okay.
Hey, everyone. This is Thursday, June 26th, and we're talking about healthcare. So I'm happy to see all of you here, especially you've got some people who work in the field. Um, so I'm excited for this discussion. And Leo's going to start us out with a icebreaker question. So we'll ask for the name you want to be called tonight, your pronouns, and the answer to the icebreaker question.
Okay, Giga.
Hi, Kate.
Hi, Kate. Welcome.
Hey,
Okay, Giga.
My name is Leo, and my pronouns are he, him. And today's icebreaker question is, what is the best rock song of all time? For me, it would have to be Thunderstruck. That's pretty good. Yeah, that one. For you, babe?
who plays Thunderstruck?
What is it?
AC/DC.
Yeah, there you go. AC/DC, yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
some letters.
Mhm.
Taylor's over here throwing out.
Hi everybody. Name's Jared. Pronouns are she, her, they, them, he, him, right? All the pronouns, give them to me. I mean, there's this one song by this one controversial musician called Jack Black that's literally called the greatest song in the world. It's a tribute. I think it's a pretty good rock song. I think it's pretty good.
Suzette, would you like to get Taylor to throw in some of his suggestions?
Taylor, give us a suggestion. Your favorite rock song of all time.
Old or new?
Whatever. Pick one. Okay. Oh, that is a good one.
What's that?
Crazy Train.
Okay, you get to go next.
Ozzy Osbourne.
I'll have to check that one out. So you go next, Suzette.
Oh, I'm next. Okay, Suzette, she, her, and my favorite is When the Lights Go Down in the City by Journey.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's my favorite. Handstand.
Okay. Kreger?
My name is Kreger. Pronouns are he, they, and the best rock song of all time is Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen.
Okay. Kate?
My name is Kate. This is the first time I've ever said I have a pronoun because I've never used them. But my favorite rock and roll song from back in the day was Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin.
Oh my gosh.
Looking at it.
I recognize that song.
Okay, me.
Yeah, you.
How about you, Coco?
You go first.
I can go.
Yes.
Okay.
What's your name?
Okay. I am back again. I'm him.
Marco, he, him.
Well, my color is what
Your favorite rock, the greatest rock song of all time.
Well, I got kind of low.
You love rock and roll? Oh, there's a song called, like,
Joan Jett.
you like that one?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Carol, she, her. And there's another one with the line of that rock and roll save me or something like that. What is it? Your rock and roll. I'll have to think of it in a minute. But all of y'all gave great examples. Well, the ones that I recognized. I certainly love Stairway to Heaven. And anyway, so let's go on.
Okay.
I'll try to think of one. The one I'm trying to say in a minute. Anyway, so tonight we're talking about healthcare. So there's been a lot on the table. In terms of changes, but let's first just talk about where the U.S. has been in terms of healthcare. Where do you see the things? Just maybe you can name just like one thing that the U.S. has done well in terms of healthcare, and where the disparities are, where our healthcare system really shows inequities in terms of race and it just access, everything that makes the system inequitable the way it is, and then we'll look at where we're going. Jared?
I mean, yeah, it's a bad system currently as it is. But one thing that we do is we raid foreign countries and create settlements in these foreign countries, and then create a high demand for people from foreign countries to enter into the medical field and transfer to like the Americas, right? For the medical field. In fact, that in my culture specifically, the Filipino culture, there's a huge emphasis to leave your country to be a doctor, nurse, or any medical practitioner in America, right? That's literally the goal, right? That's specifically because of colonization. Now that actually, it's really messed up, but it does yield to a really large population of talented medical practitioners immigrating from all over the world, controversially due to the colonial aspects of what we are doing to the other countries. And yeah, so that's one thing that we do really well. Importing labor is something that we do well. It's getting worse by the day in this administration.
Can I interject real quick before you go on with your next point?
No.
Yeah, there have been a lot of it's particularly the smaller towns, but just lots of the emergency room waiting lines, etc. All of those things have gone down because there are so many medical practitioners that cannot get back into the States, or maybe that have even been deported, but mostly people that are not getting their visas renewed, or just having immigration problems in general, and that is making huge problems in our medical system. So thank you for bringing that up. Okay.
And I mean, there's nothing really, I mean, other than that, I can't really think of like good things. There's I mean, there's like a person running for mayor that's a socialist in New York, who's like they're like the medical stuff, like getting medical care and stuff, is a part of his platform. So I guess that's that's a good thing. But everything else is really trash, down to like the fact the medical bill payments, the insurance companies, right? Like I mean, there was that murder that happened that one time. There's the fact that there are so many different walls. There is a lot of like discrimination that occurs within the medical. Like I could go on, honestly. Like I should, like I could go on forever, right? As someone who was, originally training to actually get into the medical field before I realized wow, how many things are wrong with it. Yeah, like it's like there's a lot, there's a doozy.
Yeah, as you know, with my career in OB-GYN, I mean, one of the things that springs to mind first with the disparities has to do with maternal mortality rates, and that is just so embarrassing how our country ranks way below all of the other developed countries, and with maternal and neonatal mortality rates, and but a lot of time has been spent particularly in the last decade, with trying to gather information about that, and trying to find solutions, and with the current concerns that this administration has about rewriting history. A lot of that data may be lost, or at least suppressed for now, and it's not really being looked at because there are forces that are trying to suppress that information. Kreger, you work in the medical field. I would. What do you have thoughts about? Either something that you could praise, or something that that you're worried about?
I have to be very careful because I work for a health insurance company, and part of our code of conduct that we agree to is that we will not publicly express, you know, thoughts about the company while, because this is being recorded. If we weren't being recorded, I could go on and on like Jared, but since this is recorded and anybody could wind up seeing this, I still have a few more years that I need to work before I can retire.
I'm
So
sorry,
I'm gonna
put
have
you
to
on the
remain
spot.
mostly I'll have to remain mostly silent.
Okay, I'm sorry I put you on the spot. Jared?
Oh, it's okay.
Leo, I'm sorry. I meant
Hopefully we say something that you want to say, Craig.
You can just nod.
As far as for me, in my opinion, I feel like the healthcare industry is getting worse and worse, because now we have all these high deductibles, and now my preventive medication, they started to charge me, like, not a lot, but before it was covered 100%, and now my high blood pressure medication is $4, $5, and I used to take 2 blood pressure medications. I'm down to 1. But yeah, that's what I've noticed. And it's more expensive to go to the doctor. Before, there was no copay, and now there's a copay of almost $100 every time I go to the doctor. It's like $85 or $90. And honestly, I think it's a shame that other countries have free medical health care, such as like Mexico. Mexico has had it for the past, I think, 5 years. So, excuse me. But yeah, I think we could do it. It's just there's a lot of lobbyists, pharmaceutical lobbyists that that don't want it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Suzette?
So I'm not really sure if I'm on the right train of thought with what I'm going to say, but I will bring it up because it has to do with health insurance, and I'm not really so when before Christy and I got married, I was on Affordable Care Act insurance, and it was about, I don't know, maybe $350 a month, right? I had a knee replacement, all this other stuff with it. And then when we got married, I had to get off of it for income reasons. And then she had to put me on her insurance, or that was the option, right? And that was $800 a month. So $800 a month from $350. And then the deductibles were insane. Insane. You know, 1,500, 3,000, 7,000, whatever. But she qualified for 100% veterans disability a couple years ago, and qualified me for Champ VA. So as a disabled vet, you get to put your spouse on government insurance, right? So that is a thing in the air right now for me, because I'm terrified that, you know, with the current administration, that's going to go away, and other things, you know, the benefits that she gets. But that's the biggest one, is the health insurance, because it's just not affordable. And I mean, we're not low income, we're not high income, we're pretty comfortable, but the health insurance part of it is very expensive. And if we had to go back to it, you know, it would mean changes in our lifestyle. So, but I'm just, you know, there's a lot of concerns around healthcare and insurance, and, you know, all of the things that have been obtained when Affordable Care Act insurance was implemented. It was a lifesaver for me, because I had nothing before that. So it all was hoping that we were, you know, moving towards some kind of equity with this stuff, but it doesn't, we've taken 3 steps backwards. So hoping that it doesn't like continue to digress back into what we had 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But then we don't know. We don't have a crystal ball. So.
Yeah, and I wonder if we can do some things about it. I think you've brought up some concerns that that the majority of people are feeling, and I'm paying Cobra prices right now, which is I'm really trying to look at alternatives, and uh, anyway, and Marco has been on Medicaid, which was a very complicated situation when he was younger, but we were able to get on Medicaid pretty directly when we moved to New Mexico, because he had turned 18. We kind of waited. We had to kind of officially move at different times because he wasn't quite 18 yet, and I didn't want him to lose the system that we had to wait years for him to get on as a minor without having to look at my income. But once he turned 18, it was just his income that could disqualify him, and he qualified because of his disability.
Yeah, yeah,
But anyway, I mean, Medicaid is a lifesaver for so many people, and Medicare is tied into it. And a lot of people don't realize some of the intricacies of it, like that I learned before we moved. Like, Medicaid is state-based, and Medicare is federal. So, and Medicare doesn't cover some of the same things, and people with disabilities sometimes have to choose between one or the other, and that can cause great differences. So, since Medicaid is state-based, that some of the changes that have came, we talked recently about the abortion laws, but and I don't want to reopen that discussion at this right now, but I think that that's one of the things we've highlighted, how different it is in different states for abortion, and so healthcare could go the same way if states are allowed to like opt out of Medicaid expansion, things like that. So, how does that affect, how does that affect the population, and how does that affect disparities?
Yeah, why?
Bob Stubblefield sent me a presentation, and it was all about what was going on in our current state legislature with regard to Medicaid, and it's, you know, there's a lot going on. So I think
So can you give us a little bit
I'm
of-
gonna pull it up real quick if I
Okay.
can find it real quick. So
Sure.
hang on.
What do you need?
It's there's a lot of advantages to me living in a blue state. But New Mexico is also a very poor state. So Texas has the opposite, has a lot more resources, but doesn't seem to want to use them in the same way.
But that would mean more people not going to the doctor, possibly passing from whatever, you know, disease they have.
Thank you.
Yes, I think so. Tell me if you agree with this. I think the disparities that are already there, like I mentioned, the maternal mortality rate. Well, I mentioned that it's so bad in this country, but what we also said in a recent progress is that maternal mortality for Black women is like it is ridiculously, what did I can't remember what I said, 9 times higher, I think, than than for non-Latino white women. And I mean that's just inexcusable. So those kind of disparities, also the disparities for LGBTQ to IA plus people, where there's already restrictions to access, some of which is getting worse, especially in the trans community, but throughout the queer community. And I think all of those disparities are just magnified when the resources are restricted. Okay, Suzette's sharing her screen, it looks like.
So I know that you're not from Texas, and this wouldn't be something that applicable to non-Texans, but it's about the budget cuts, I guess, what they're proposing. And Medicaid, CHIP, SNAP, the ACH Marketplace health insurance. So the federal funding is going to change, and that also means the state funding. So Medicaid pays for 48% of births in Texas, 36% of all Texas children. So it's covered. It covers a lot of services for people in Texas, and mental health services, especially. To lose that would be pretty tragic for some people. So most of the people in participation for Medicaid are children. So I have a grandchild in Medicaid right now. So that would be devastating to us if something happened to that. I guess somehow we could put him on Taylor's ACH policy or Affordable Care Act policy somehow, or CHIP, but it's all stuff that we would have to change and it would affect. So
what are the changes that are being proposed in Texas?
Coming, I guess, to that in this particular, I guess it's talking about what they have now and what they'll lose. So this is, I can't see it because there's.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just read
The
this sentence.
cost of living is going to increase because it's
Yeah.
going to cost
And
for.
I mean, this does affect people like me who have family in Texas, including everyone at the church. You're all family. So let me just read this sentence. Funding cuts over $1 trillion will affect everyone in Texas. Not one person in the state will escape the economic and public health fallout from these proposed budget cuts. So,
Oh, right. And where does it stop? So this is the worst kind of budget cuts that they could possibly make.
so, okay, this is saying raise flags, ring alarm bells, rally your friends, family, and coworkers. So, yeah, I think, I think I don't know what makes the most impact. I'm sure Bob would have some thing to say about that. But writing to senators or making calls or sending postcards, things like that. I think I don't know how much of an impact that has, but it seems like something that most of us can do. One of the people in my one of the people I ran into today recommended that app 5Calls. Have you guys heard of that?
What is it?
5Calls, where you just click on the app and it can give you like choices of what issues you're interested in, and it can give you like a number, and you just kind of hit a button, as I understand it, and it can put in a call to a congressperson's. I think you can even do it from other states.
So how
To
is that
call and say,
effective? I wonder. Is it really effective? Like,
well, that
do you
might
know?
be a topic for another discussion. I have not researched how it's effective, but I think the numbers can be swayed by enough public opinion.
Okay.
Jared, you look like you were about to say something. Do you?
Yeah. So it's like I say, like all the time, every act of resistance matters, right? And so it's like, it's not that, one action fixes a problem. It's more like, if everyone is revolting on every level, down to the protests, down to the death threats, down to the more, I guess you would say, robust workplace sabotage techniques, like what is done by some congressmen and stuff, right? Every little bit counts, because that kind of what every right that we've won has been like fought on, right? It was both the Malcolm X and the Martin Luther Kings, the Black Panthers, and also the lobbyists, and like all these different forces working in tandem towards the same goal, together make change. It yes, it is like a small thing, right? But it's also something that people who are differently abled can do.
Yes.
Like you could at your options and figure out what is the best for you and your abilities.
Right. One of the things that I find very much in opposition to itself, one of the things that's very confusing is some of the proposals for like to be on different kinds of assistance, like to be on Medicaid, you have to work. I think that really increases
Oh, yeah.
the inequities, and it's so crazy because like Marco is also on SSI, and
Yeah.
and the amount that he gets is so I don't there are so many people in our congregation that are subsisting on the same kind of amounts as what he gets, and they're adults who are who don't have another means of support like Marco has me. I can't imagine how multiple family members living on Medicaid or SSI, I mean, could make it. But I had a meeting with, I mean, after all these years, I finally had somebody sit down and explain to me why Medicaid had decreased his funding because he's working. And they're taking, I mean, it's not, it's about 2 to 1 in term, or 1 to 2 in terms of how much money they take away from his SSI versus what he makes. But it's pretty significant. So, I mean, it's just kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't. And most people,
Oh, yeah.
most people that are on Medicaid, it's because of a disability that prevents them from working, or at least like Marco was able to find this wonderful job, but it's never going to pay more than, you know, much more than minimum wage at best. And he's and because of the government funding of the Department of Vocational Rehab, he's probably never going to be able to work more than 8 hours a week, which is still a substantial cut in his benefits. So, I mean, it really just, it's back and forth. And I want to bring in one more little thing that affects the queer community, with the intersection with disability, and that is marriage equality. You know, we fought so hard to get marriage equality, which is going to be threatened again. But you know, it's not equality until everybody has access, and people with disabilities lose their benefits if they get married. If 2 people with disabilities get married, or one person with disability marries somebody without, you know, anyway, marriage is very detrimental to a person's income if they have disability. So I think that's just one of those intersections that a lot of people don't realize. And so I like to bring that up and point that out. Let me get on just a little bit different, just, one of the things that I've heard some, hello. One of the things that I've heard proposed is just communities coming together and trying to support each other. And that it almost sounds like a dystopian reality about how it may come to us just doing things like, I mean, we can all do things like community gardens and things like that, and shared tables, but it's for that to be forced on communities because the federal government isn't using tax dollars to take care of us is seems kind of criminal. But somebody mentioned the socialist mayor, our mayor candidate for New York. What is the ideal system? Is universal health care the ideal system in your opinion? Anybody
He
want?
was proposing free transportation too. So, I mean, that would affect a lot of people as far as helping them get to their jobs or whatever they needed to do, or to health appointments, or seeking medical care. So he has a lot of wishes on his wish list for bringing them, but he definitely defeated Cuomo you know, in that primary. So it was it's interesting to watch. It is interesting to watch.
Mm.
I'd like to see how that progresses.
Well, we saw how the president this week was over at the NATO conference and trying to get the European countries to pay more for their own defense. And the fact is that the United States spends far too much money on defense, because if we didn't, we could afford to take care of our citizens with health care and stuff like that. But we have all the bombs in the world and the fancy jets and all that. But this the United States has never truly made a commitment to care for its citizens in the way that many European countries do. And so if we're going to take all this stuff away, what we don't realize, if you prevent someone from going to their routine medical appointments for their routine care, that person is eventually going to wind up needing to be hospitalized. So what are we going to do then? Are we just going to leave them outside the hospital door and say, I'm sorry, you don't have Medicaid, you don't have anything, you can't come in. You're just going to have to sit out here. Because if you don't, you can pay me now or you can pay me later in healthcare. If we could get people in this country to be healthy to begin with, and
Yeah.
to be healthy to start with, and from a very young age, eating good diets and doing all the stuff. Even Governor Abbott in Texas signed a law now that says that by 2026, all the food corporations are going to have to take all these unhealthy dyes and stuff out of our food. And I couldn't believe that this bill passed in Texas. And the bill literally says that you cannot put certain dyes and other chemicals and byproducts in foods in Texas that a lot of European countries already don't allow. And I'm like, that sounds like the most liberal thing ever to me. And here, Governor Abbott just signed it into law. So, God, I don't even know what's going on anymore.
Well,
He turns around at the beginning of the week, he turns around and says, no, we're not going to take federal money to give children during summer break lunches. We're not going to take that federal money. And then he turns around later in the week and signs this bill that says we can't have poison in our food anymore. I'm like,
Broken clocks.
Yes, it's preventive care. Krager, I think you bring up a really good point. And preventive care in our current medical system has never been funded the way that other things are. But I think we have to be careful about realizing that different people start out their lives in different levels of health and different opportunities to access preventive care, to access healthy food.
but just like what I'm talking about is like someone like Marco, if they were to deny Marco access to his regular providers, on a regular basis, saying, we just can't pay for this anymore. Eventually, he's going to wind up in a condition that's going to cost far more money if he has to be hospitalized inpatient than if we would just go ahead and take care of the issue, at hand before it blows up out of proportion.
Right. Carmen, I just want to say thanks. Is that the name that you go by?
Oh, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Yes, ma'am. You can call me Carmen or Candy. It doesn't matter.
Wonderful. Glad to have you here. We're kind of getting toward the end of this conversation, but jump in anywhere you want.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. It's my first time. It's new to me, so I'm trying to learn all I can.
Yay. Okay. Jared, you have your hand up?
Yes. So like the issue with I guess you would say utopianizing the conversation where we're looking for like the ideal system is America is very sick, like spiritually, like mentally, like emotionally, like like and so it's like
Bad boy.
person in like an excellent system in a Garden of Eden where everything is just working out, right? But you know, that snake, right? Like that snake don't rear its ugly head, right? And tempt you whenever your head and your heart aren't aligned, right? And so, like, you know, like the bigger question is like, what needs to be deconstructed actually, so that we can make way for those things? Because like, when we like, honestly, the system as it is, it suits us. It suits us in our sickness, right? It does, right? Because it discriminates just like we do, right? It oppresses the poor just like we do, right? It oppresses Black and brown people just like we do, right? Like it oppresses like disabled people and looks at them as like they're less people, just like how we in capitalism don't look at people that do not give labor as people. And that sickness, right? That sickness does not just go away just because you've slapped a socialist label on it, right? There is a deconstruction, a deep reckoning, right? There is a lot that needs to change within each and every one of us that we need to deconstruct, right? We are Black people who have swallowed anti-Blackness, right? We are white people who struggle with recognizing the cost of privileges, right? We are Latino people who struggle to choose like which side they're going to sit on. Do they care? Are they for their oppressors or are they for the disenfranchised? Right? We have so much to grapple with right now that it's just so very implausible to place people in a wonderful system and expect them to not say stupid things like, but they're not working. Why should they be allowed to live? Or, but they look different to me. That they have the same work ethic that I do, or they have a different theology to me. Wait, what? Shouldn't they just be deported rather than actually deal with the problem? You know, like these sort of ideas are actually fundamentally part of our medical system, right? So we gotta, like it's a lot slow grind to get to where we need to go to create an ideal system, in my opinion.
Okay, so to combine kind of what you said a little bit with what we were talking about, what we can do, I think it's great to, write your Congress people or make phone calls or go to protests or things like that. But it's also good to just look at your own being and what you said about deconstruction. I mean, capitalism requires an attitude of work, 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 work. So I don't want any of us to forget that that for one thing, rest is resistance. Rest is absolutely self-care. Rest is anti-capitalist and therefore is resistance in itself. So don't think that you're not doing something, even if what you're doing is taking a nap and taking care of yourself. That is resistance in itself. Suzette? Sorry, you've had your hand up a while. I apologize.
It's okay. So my question was for Jared, because I know he works in our mental health system. And my experience with the status quo mental health care that we have is completely inadequate, and we're in crisis mode, right? So if you have a mental health crisis and you try to find a facility to take you or a facility who can treat you, there's nobody. The regular hospitals that are part of our system are not equipped to handle patients. They'll hold you for 24 hours and then they're going to look to transfer you somewhere else. And these facilities that they can transfer you to mostly are not okay. And if you have no insurance, they just let you go. So you could be, like today, we had a senior citizen sitting in the middle of I-45 in a lawn chair because we had a mental health crisis, right? And there's 15 police officers standing around her with a gun, right? What the hell are we doing, right? I mean, that was the most shocking thing I mean, that was just the worst possible scenario for me. Like, how was this person driving? Wh- We're we're pointing guns at her. I don't understand any of it. So I think that, the elephant in the room is with our mental health system, and that's
Yeah,
not even
and that's
being
bad
satisfied with what's out there, the status quo. So, we disparage again, or we come into disparity again with what's getting ready to happen, and it's going to blow up. It's going to blow up. You're going to see more people sitting in lawn chairs in the middle of I-45. So
yes.
I worry about the state of, I mean, I just worry.
And thank you for not using any disparaging terms or anything like that. So there again, you're doing part of the deconstruction and just adding to the awareness as well as the support.
If you have a crisis and you try to call they don't exist. There's no rooms, there's no
And
beds,
I
there's
don't know of
nothing
any state where it's
available.
better. I think it's bad across the entire country. As from what I can see, I don't know if
Why are we ignoring it? I don't understand it. Why are we ignoring it?
well,
We wait until more things happen, bad things happen, so that somebody will address it. But
yeah, in my opinion, that kind of comes down to the thing of, I'm not crazy, so I don't need to worry about that. And sorry, I didn't mean to use that
if for
word,
1 minute the governor of our
but
state's family had to be institutionalized for a mental health crisis, it would change tomorrow.
right. But it shouldn't have to touch us personally for us to care. We should be, and that's one thing that a church can do. That's one thing that a church can really support is lifting up the dignity and respect of
Our
every
resources.
person, not just the people in the pews, but also everybody. Just recognizing that, preaching it, yeah, supporting that every single way we can. Jared and
Just like Suzette said, yeah, it is going to get worse because Trump is also cutting that number, the 988 number for the LGBTQ for mental health help. And it is getting worse, even here locally, because at my husband's job, they just cut $1 million.
Oh no, $5 million.
Oh, $5 million.
$5 million because we're state funded.
And they have to close his location down. So,
Yeah.
so now these girls that are in recovery,
They have to
it's
move.
like they have to move. And then now they're not able to serve the local community there. So if the girls aren't able to get the recovery or the help that they need, then they're just gonna use,
Yeah.
So that's already changed?
It's already changed. Yeah, like there has been
So sorry.
there because we are a nonprofit, right? We specifically, we're handle the community of people who can afford stuff, right? We're basically the sole referral source for people who are having a mental health condition, and then you send them to us for rehabilitation, right? We are essentially the janitors of a broken system. And so, but like the janitors' pay just got cut, right? We're now we have multiple locations, and so like we're having to basically centralize all of our labor in one location, right? I'm lucky enough to be getting a promotion due to it, but there's people who are losing their jobs, right, in the mental health field. And
Ricky Harris lost his job.
yes, and not getting better. It's like falling apart, and And so like Suzette, you're asking the question of like, what will it take? Like, what's gonna, like, when will it be enough, right? And I think so. Like, I'm gonna say something a little bit charged. There was at one point a 9/11 attack, right? And we then decide to mobilize to seize a bunch of oils, right? Then there was like for the Jewish community, right, like an October 7th attack, right, which justified a lot of bombings and currently everything, right, everything wrong in the Middle East, right? But like Black and brown and disabled and neurodivergent people don't really have a 9/11, in spite of the fact that we experience many more deaths than all the 9/11s combined, right? Capitalism, police brutality, all of these things have taken more lives than 29/11s, right? Stacked on top of each other, right? And thousands of people died in 9/11. And so like we're waiting for like these sort of these amazing terrible things to happen where enough is enough, but tragically speaking, enough is never enough for the poor, for the disenfranchised, for the invisible in this community. So we're waiting for that, but in reality, we need to bring the fight to their front door, because Black people, we never had a 9/11. We had a revolution. And that's what's necessary in order for this to stop. So I hope that answers your question.
Well, thank you. I think we're nearing the end of our time, and I'll try to stay on a few minutes after we stop the recording. But I just want to say how beautiful all your hearts are trying to look at this, and it just really helps me see that God is working in the world, and I know that all of you see the God in each other and in the humanity around you, and I'm just really grateful for that, and I'm grateful for this group and the light that it sheds on the God of love. Suzette, you had your hand up?
No, I was just gonna say, like, so don't leave here today without doing something, right? So I'm gonna Bob sent me a flyer. They had a thing on the 24th. I don't really know what I've been too fragmented to pay enough attention to it, but I'm gonna look at the flyer, and if it's applicable to the conversation, then I'm gonna send it to everyone in the group in our from Planning Center, so that we can all have a copy of it to see what's going on and who do we need to call and how do we call them. And I need to be on the phone because I'm at risk, and I'm not a minority, right? I can't even imagine. It's too much to put into your head. So we need to all be screaming at our politicians.
Big hugs all around as we circle up and work on this
Yeah.
together. Kreger, would you pray us out? Let me say real quick about next week. I think we are going to try to meet. I haven't asked Suzette yet if she's available to be my backup. I'm going to be at MCC's general conference. And so they haven't really put out what the schedule is for next Thursday night for the opening of the general conference. So I don't know what my availability
Oh,
is.
you'll be busy.
But I want to try to get on if I can and just share the energy of the conference. And so our subject will be this denomination and some of the good things that are going on, and just maybe lift up some of the heroes that we have in our midst. And so that'll be the subject for next week, and I hope I can join. If not, and if Suzette can't join, we'll find another leader. But
I'll back up.
we'll find
Yeah,
a way.
okay. I should, I'm coming back from San Antonio on the 2nd. I should be available on the 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Kreger, will you pray us out? Or do you have the
Certainly.
voice for it?
Yes, Holy God, we're just so grateful for another session of God Talk. We're just appreciative of all the beautiful hearts that have come into this room tonight and gave us thought and opinion based in love and reality, actually. And I think what we're trying to do here is we're trying to birth ourselves into the people that Jesus spoke about in the Beatitudes. And it starts with each and every one of us. And, you know, we just need to do the work. So give us the courage, the power, and the strength, and most of all, the love to make a difference on this planet and this world. And we ask in the holy name of Christ right here and right now. Amen.
Amen, amen. I love to make a difference. I love that. Love all of you.
Come back, Candy. We would love to know more about you. So maybe